Aamir, this is Pete from AP. If you could tell us what you're expecting from this season, how do you think things will go? And I know you thought about the NBA draft. What kind of was the ultimate decision about wanting to come back to Clemson?
Well, first off, just the decision to come back, it's kind of a no-brainer. I just wanted to get a feel, get some feedback from a higher perspective of the guys that I would potentially play for next year. And just wanted to, learn about my game a little more from a different, knowledge of the game and see what I need to work on, what I need to improve on, and what they liked and what they didn't like. And just coming back was just a decision that I kind of already had in my head. And, sometimes it's good just to add a little suspense to it. But I definitely knew I was coming back. But it was just a good experience to learn more about myself from, a different perspective than just my coaches and peers. And then on the season, definitely looking forward, to a good year with the team. We're young, got a lot of players. I think we're 12 deep. We can play anybody, similar to like a Florida State rotation. And everybody can do a little bit of everything, very versatile. We're still trying to kind of piece together what lineup is the best because there's so many different, perspectives to look from on who can really be out there together and who plays well with each other. So I think this year's going to be good. Obviously, we're in, unfortunate circumstances with COVID, but I think looking out into the season will be a pretty good one. One of the best teams that I think Barnell will have in his years of coaching so far.
Aamir, last year you guys had some really high highs, but maybe the consistency wasn't always there. Do you think that you guys can be more consistent this season?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that plays just like what I was talking about, my point about having 12 people ready to go. We wasn't healthy last year. A lot of injuries. Jonathan Bear, Clyde was going half of the season. Chase Hunter was out with a foot injury. Alex Hemingway was gone as well. We had Nick sitting out. So I think playing, kind of wounded and still getting those wins done. And, just making sure we get those small wins done as well. Just being consistent, winning the games we're supposed to, and then also getting by on those that we're not supposed to, allegedly, like I said last night, actually. And I think just having our full team back will just give us the opportunity to be consistent and kind of show the world what Clemson basketball is really about.
Aamir, this is Kyle Koso with Triple Crown Sports. We're running the Space Coast Challenge you guys are playing in. I was curious about, how you look at your role in the sense that you had a big jump in your three-point percentage last year, a little more efficient, but they need you down low for rebounding. I mean, that's a pretty important part of your job. So how do you, just your specific role, balance that, make sure you're not jacking up too much stuff, and but also not neglecting a part of the game that you've obviously worked hard to evolve?
First off, thank you for having us this year. But, you can't be a one-dimensional player. That doesn't really, I don't think that really gets you far in the sports world. And I try not to, get stuck in my ways, just doing one thing. I kind of like to mix it up. And being able to rebound, it opens up our offensive side as well. And when I get the rebound sometimes, I can push the ball up the court and kind of make defenses have to adjust to how we're playing that way when the 5 minutes bring the ball up. So, I've never really been a person who hunts threes and wants to just jack threes. I kind of let the game come to me, and I don't really like to force things. But, being able to balance is a key thing for our offense. Having me down low and also on the perimeter kind of makes it hard for the defense to adjust, like I said. So, being able to rebound and push the ball myself is definitely, I think, a very beneficial thing to have on our team this year.
And while I have you, most of the times, those first couple of games, and then, like I said, you guys are going to do it at our event, there's some things you really are looking for. Like, we've talked about this or that. What are maybe a couple topics that are, hot button that you guys want to see, get some answers out of these first couple games?
We want to see where we are defensively. I think we're a pretty good offensive team. I think we're like in the top 4, I think, in field goal percentage with twos and whatnot last year in the ACC. So I think we're not really too much worried about that. We just want to see where we are defensively and from a versatile standpoint, and seeing like how big we can get with our lineups and how easy it is for us to stretch the floor and kind of be able to switch and guard the ball with different players and be able to rotate different ways. So I think one of our biggest things that we're going to really be looking for is how we play defensively.
Thank you.
Hey, Aamir, this is Will Vanderbilt with the Clemson Insider. Wanted to ask you, first of all, congratulations on being preseason first team all-ACC.
Thank you.
And with that, as you know, will come a lot of pressure. Teams are going to notice you more. How do you plan to adjust to that, knowing that you're going to be the guy and they're going to be keen on you this season?
That's a great question, honestly, because you never really know what to expect. Teams kind of have you on the radar now from last year already. So it's just you got to be able to attack the game in the same way. You can't have the mentality that just because they know who you are now that you gotta play different. You gotta let the game come to you and see what the defense gives you and just try to get into those gaps and those spaces where they allow. Or sometimes you just gotta take control of yourself and have the mindset that no matter what the scout is, you're gonna play your game and play the way that you worked out and all the work you put in over the summer and stuff like that. You can't let it go to waste just because the team has scouted you a certain way. So I think the mentality going into this year is just to have that mindset that I'm not going to let any scout stop me.
Aamir, this is Larry Williams with TigerIllustrated.com. Interested in your thoughts on, when you have a player such as yourself who comes back to, like you said, you're trying to improve your stock and all that and make yourself better. The balance in general between doing that and also being fully invested in the team and making everybody else better. Can that be a challenge from your observations in the past? And what are your thoughts on that sort of balance in the two?
Honestly, I don't think it's too challenging because I think, for me to be the player I am, I got to have a great supporting staff and I got to support my players and they got to support me as well. As a team, they help me become a better player. I get all these assists, I get these rebounds and stuff like that because of my teammates. So, it's all connected. I think it goes into one thing. It's not just one part that you got to focus on. To be a great player, you got to be a great teammate, I think. And having my teammates definitely helped me elevate my game because I learned how to play different with different people and different lineups. So I don't think that's too much of a challenge to balance, working on, my specific goals for getting to the next level and what the team goals are for the year. So I think you they're kind of compatible and you gotta, be able to do both in order to be successful to get to the next level.
Hey, Aamir, it's Mark from WYFF. Where were the areas that you wanted to improve this offseason? What was the feedback from NBA scouts about these are the areas of your game you need to work to improve?
It was more so my defensive mobility, proving that I can stay in front of a guy if I get caught out on the switch. Because, in the NBA, it's kind of a lot of switching and you're kind of on a lot of islands by yourself. And I just want to see that I can, stay in front of my man, whether I'm on an island or not, and, be able to move my feet laterally and in the post, just keep battling down there with bigger opponents, being undersized. And the league is kind of shifting to that now. So they're trying to make sure that I can be able to guard that and be on the perimeter as well. And then from an offensive standpoint, just keep doing what I'm doing, tighten up a little more touches down low, finishing around the rim. And then the biggest thing was mostly consistently rebounding.
This was one of Coach Brownell's most hyped recruiting classes he's had since he's been at Clemson. Of the three freshmen, what have you seen from them so far? Do you expect them to all step in and contribute right away? And also, you got some big guys in the class, and P.J. and Lynn. How will that help you having a little bit of exercise down low?
I think the freshmen have done an unbelievable job, trying to come in here with the right mindset every single day and learn. It's a lot. Coach Brownell is very meticulous with his planning and his X's and O's. And I think, for them to come in here during this tough time especially is kind of a lot for them to learn. I think they do a great job of, trying to tackle that and kind of trying to comprehend everything he teaches us. But I think PJ and Lynn, having big size and a big frame definitely helps because a lot of times last year, late in the games, I'll be a little winded and I wouldn't be as tedious about where I was on the floor. And, my efforts wouldn't always be there because I was a little fatigued, having PJ there who can come in and play smart and, just fill the void kind of when I'm not on the court and do his thing, is very major. And Lynn is definitely a good rim protector, and that's something we've missed in the past year or so. With Elijah and them being gone, I think Lynn and PJ are going to do a great job with that going forward.
Do you think they have the physicality to step in right away and contribute, or do they need to continue working in the weight room?
No, they go against me every day, so they definitely get the physicality part every day. So by the time it's the other opponents, I think they'll be just fine.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Aamir, it's Pete at AP again. How have you handled the COVID situation? I mean, were you at home for a long period of time? And as one of the leaders, are you kind of reminding the other guys, hey, we need to stay in our own little bubbles so, we can have our season?
I try to handle COVID just as much as anybody, trying to stay out of the way. And, during the summer or during the quarantine, I was here actually. I didn't want to go home and be around people who probably wasn't going to be on their best behavior. So I kind of stayed here out the way. And a couple of my teammates, Hunter Tyson and Parker Fox and Jonathan Bear, came back. And we worked out at one of my friends' place. They had a little court. And we went there every day and worked out for a couple of hours and kind of just kept the same pattern and consistency that we would in the summer. So when we came back to it, we was already going to be in top shape. And, I definitely try to, reiterate that to our teammates, the importance of, being isolated and not being in the way and, so we can be ahead because I think we've done an unbelievable job. I think we've only had 3 positive tests, myself included, back in June. But, we've done a good job, amongst most athletes across the country of not getting tested, with positive tests and being able to practice because a lot of teams is missing 2 weeks or however long on a consistent basis. And I think we're one of the few teams in the country who hasn't been in that situation.
You say you tested positive. You didn't have any real symptoms or anything like that. Did you just quarantine and you felt better?
Honestly, at first I was fine. Then I was rooming with 2 football players, and I actually lost my smell and my taste for a while. I probably couldn't smell or taste for like a month, and sometimes it's still very faint today sometimes. So that's probably my only symptoms. I did feel a little weak at times, but I thought that just because I didn't play basketball in a while. But I really just lost my smell and my taste, and then my body was a little sore, but that's about it.
Did you ever worry that you guys wouldn't get to play basketball this season?
No, it's definitely basketball is too big, I think to kind of sideline. It's a lot of money that goes into it, and a lot of people's jobs depend on it. So I think the NCAA has done an unbelievable job of setting up some type of system to where we are allowed to play. We're not playing the full 30-something games, but it's still a good amount with 27 or 28 or whatever it is. And I never once thought that the season would be, cut for a year. So I definitely think that will happen.
Aamir, Larry Williams again here, following up on Pete's question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when y'all had your positive test in June, y'all contact tracing forced y'all to basically shut it down right away, right? For a couple of weeks, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I think when I had tested positive, I was just with a team earlier, like the day before and the day of actually. So I think everybody had to sit out an extra week. I was in my isolation for my 10 days, or I think it was maybe 14. But yeah, the team definitely set out for an extra week and had to get tested twice, I think.
I guess what I'm getting at is like with football, as I'm sure you've seen, you can have a position group wiped out, or a team can actually, or games can get canceled. But with basketball, it's like, if y'all are out the whole team can get wiped out, I guess is what I'm saying, and you can miss quite a few games. Do y'all have a really good sense of that, of what can happen, sort of the domino effect with a contact tracing and all that?
Oh yeah, we do. We during the summer or even into the fall, we had a system kind of set up at first where we had 2 different groups. So if one person got it, just that group would be out, and we would still have a solid 5 that would be able to practice and earn the plays. And if you were isolated, you have to do things on your own. But I know, I mean, at this point, there's nothing you can really kind of like schedule or kind of put in place, because if one gets it, then we all do, because we're around each other all the time, sweating around each other and stuff like that, whether it's in the weight room or on the court. So there's not really a plan in place. But if one person does, usually the people within that household has to sit out, and everyone would just get tested on a regular basis just to make sure that it didn't get past anyone.
Probably have time for a couple more if anybody has them. Any more questions?
Yeah, Aamir, Larry Williams again. You talked about last year. Defensive breakdowns are sort of what bugged you the most, I guess. Just as a team, was that the fundamental sort of thing that y'all want to correct?
Most definitely. I think everyone knows the saying, defense wins championships. So I think that was a key point in why we didn't, be as successful as we should have been. We proved that we could compete against the quote unquote top tier teams in the country, the Blue Bloods or what have you. And then we would come to a game that we would probably just be lackluster defensively. And, that was very frustrating. And I think, Coach has done a great job emphasizing the importance of defense and, being very versatile on the court on the defensive side, just as the offensive. So I think that's definitely a key point for us and something that I think everyone will see us improving tremendously this year.
Aamir, when speaking of last season again, when you do hear from Clemson fans on social media or something like that, I know you don't probably run into a lot of them in person these days, but what do they talk about the most from last year? Is it the win at North Carolina? Is it Duke? Is it Louisville, Florida State? What do they discuss most often?
It's definitely the UNC game. Every time I run into someone, they usually say, you hit that shot, right? Or something like that. And I think people definitely enjoy talking about that UNC win. I think that was good for the university and, the past things that, couldn't get done, finally get that boat off their back and be able to breathe and just chill out now. So it's definitely the UNC win for sure.
Aamir, this is Matt Connolly with the State. I know last year was a big year for you, just trying to take that next step. Just how much different is your confidence going into this season than it's ever been before, or is it different at all?
Oh, it's definitely, really high. Last year was really good to experience. And I definitely had my highs and my lows of last year, and I'm just ready to build on that. I've taken what I didn't do as good last year and kind of tried to build on that over the summer and into the fall and even now. So I think I'm definitely, really excited to go into the season with a clear head and clear mind of what I want to accomplish and what I want to improve on and show that I can improve on and what I have improved on over the summer.
And can you give some specifics with PJ just of what he brings to the table and what you've seen from him early on?
PJ is a very, young, versatile, physical center. He has a pretty good knowledge for the game. He's just learning right now, as most freshmen are. And he has a really good feel and good touch around the rim. And he's a really good mid-range shooter. And defensively, he's still learning, but, he has a physicality, so that'll give him some cushion, I think, in games when playing against more dominant post players and physicality. And I think he'll just be very, key in our team, especially when I'm out the game, that the offense can still flow through PJ, and he'll be just fine.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.